Hey, Warpugs. So, this is a request from Steel Rain, and it's not something I normally cover. But this is what a 9.5 magnitude earthquake looks like. Now, I have watched, my main thing that I do check out as far as, natural disasters on my end is tornadoes, because I have a little bit of first-hand experience with them, and not exactly the most fun things on the planet there. I'm just saying. Not exactly the most fun things on the planet to deal with. But, when it comes to earthquakes, I've been through, I think the biggest one I've been through was a 4.5, and it was not fun. It was not fun at all. And the sheer fact of the matter is the scale is logarithmic. So what I went through at 4.5, which is literally nothing, is absolutely pathetic compared to what somebody would go through in 7.0, much less 9.5. Now, this was requested by Steel Rain, who has had a little bit of history with these. So we're going to let this play. We're going to find some stuff out. This was made by Disrupt. All of his links are going to be in the description down below, including my own. New merch stores up, guys. Go check out the Good Times vs. War Crimes shirt. I had a guy make this, and it turned out to be absolutely everything that I wanted. Big drooling pug running away from a nuclear blast. I love it. In any case, we're going to get into this. What a 9.5 magnitude earthquake looks like. Let's go. Okay.
An atomic submarine known as the USS Triton has completed the first submerged circumnavigation of planet Earth.
Oh, and by the way, you guys might hear the pug in the background. You can see that Dominic's a little bit covered up. She's back here in her kennel because I'm keeping her away from my other dogs for a little bit because she has been getting a little bit rowdy. And for good reason, too. So we'll see what happens, but I think we might have little puglars running around soon.
The Andes mountain range stretches on as far as the eye can see.
This guy's got a good voice.
5,500 miles of the highest highs and the lowest lows, creating mythical terrain that have captured the gaze of generations. It's at the southern and northernmost ends that the mountain range plunges into the watery abyss. It's here that the underwater peaks create the idyllic tropical destination of Aruba and the climber's paradise of Patagonia. But beneath the surface, way down below, the massive tectonic plate that slipped under the continental crust to form the mountain range so long ago is beginning to stir within its long slumber.
You are watching Disrupt.
I like the intro.
The following message is
One thing, I've seen how earthquakes are shown on, you got, of course, you got your examples, but I think the day that we actually capture an earthquake occurring directly, video footage of what happens to the ground when an earthquake is occurring directly underneath where a camera is pointed, I think that's gonna blow a lot of people away, because to date we're only capturing, as far as I know, and if this is wrong, please correct me, but we've only captured earthquake videos from a fair amount of distance away from the epicenter. Nothing directly there. And personally, I would really like to see what happens to the ground at the epicenter. I think that something like that would be awe-inspiring, flat out. Just like with other natural disasters, you can see the focal point of the disaster. With earthquakes, of course, you can't. But it doesn't mean I don't want to take a look and see what actually happens on the surface area. Now, I know earthquakes happen in some cases far beneath the surface. But it doesn't stop me from wondering what it actually looks like on that surface.
Transmitted at the request of the police department of the city of...
In a recent decree, the Bolivian government has threatened to confiscate and sell the railway company away from the Chileans. Being a key mining enterprise for the Chilean economy, this will simply not do. The Chilean government sends out a small military force to the port, and in response, the Bolivian president officially declares war on Chile. The president also stronghands Peru into joining the battle via a secret treaty signed 6 years earlier.
Well,
And so, the War of the Pacific is on. It's clear that he who has...
I have never heard of this. If it's happened, I don't know if this is a scenario that he's pushing, but I will have to take a look because I've never heard of this if it happened.
control of the sea has the upper hand, so the Chilean naval commander plans to sail north and attack the Peruvians at their port. He leaves behind 2 older wooden ships to keep a blockade on a Peruvian port they had secured earlier. The first is the corvette Esmeralda, and the second is the... But while the main Chilean fleet is sailing north, a Peruvian fleet is looping back south to reclaim their port.
Huh.
Aided by tons of steel and steam-powered propellers, the Huáscar and the Independencia have the technological advantage, and they've just been spotted in the distance. Peru fires the first shot. By 8:15, the Esmeralda and the Covadonga are making a beeline for retreat.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
8:25, a second shot from Huáscar lands directly on the Esmeralda, killing their surgeon instantly, beheading his assistant and mortally wounding another.
Makes sense. Wooden ships versus ironclads is just not fair.
By 8:45, the Covadonga is in pursuit by the Independencia, and the Esmeralda is being finished off by Huáscar. The Esmeralda then positions itself strategically close to the Peruvian village, meaning that if the Huáscar wants to try firing more rounds into them, they'd have to have extremely precise aim, or risk killing Peruvian civilians behind them.
Exactly.
Instead, they settle on ramming the Esmeralda, then firing at close range.
Wow, okay.
The tactic proves deadly, and the Esmeralda sinks. Meanwhile, the last remaining Chilean ship is in hot pursuit by the Peruvians. They decide to skirt along the bay. Being a lighter ship, they can float above the submerged rocks and into shallow waters. The Peruvian ship, weighing significantly more, grinds against the submerged mountain peaks. The Chileans then circle back and fire at the now grounded ironclad vessel.
That.
Seeing the gunfight a mere 9 miles away, the remaining Peruvians chase the now fleeing Chileans for another 3 hours. Noticing the distance, they fire a last warning shot.
This is actually really well done. I really like this.
It's a Saturday. And the traditional ceremony of the Battle of is set to take place over the holiday weekend.
Okay.
But off the coast, our tectonic plate is shifting. The shift's reverberations flow steadily upwards and straight into the town of Concepcion. For 35 seconds, the ground wobbles, and by the end of it, the 8.3 magnitude quake has destroyed a third of the city's buildings.
My God.
claimed 125 lives. The president of Chile calls off the battle's memorial. Nearby coal miners who had been protesting for higher salaries pack things up. Some survivors jump in boats to seek refuge out at sea. The sound of emergency services reverberate through cracked streets.
Oh my God.
The Magellanic woodpecker is known for foraging in low tree trunks this time of year. He's looking for grubs, maybe some beetles, but he'll settle for old tree sap as well. But something feels wrong today. Within seconds, the entire forest is hit with another seismic quake. This one coming in at 7.1 mags.
Oh my
50
God.
kilometers south, a third one hits the town of Perun. Another 15 minutes later, and another 300 kilometers south, in the town of Valdivia, the largest earthquake ever recorded is slowly making its way to their borders. What makes this string of earthquakes so powerful is that the Nazca plate here has shifted under the continental plate here, compared to a standard quake where the plates collide side by side. In a farm outside of the city, a Jose Argomero is riding his horse when he begins to feel the ground shaking. With the Cold War at its height, the farmer is at first convinced it's a nuclear attack.
In the case of
But then
Yeah, I
the
wouldn't be
shaking
surprised.
persists. And so for the next 10 minutes, the region surrounding Valdivia is hit with a 9.5 magnitude earthquake. For 150,000 square miles along the coast, towns and villages.
This guy is setting this up really, really well. I mean, kudos to him because this has been... He set this up properly. This is very... Yeah.
Are shook to their core. The waters rise 13 feet. Then the shaking stops. And the water recedes. One of the groups that sought refuge in the waters from the first quake are now stranded in the rapidly receding water level.
Oh, no.
And by 1620, nearly an hour after the initial shock, the first wave hits the coast. 26 feet of pure energy batters the surrounding coastal villages. 10 minutes later, an even larger 33-foot wave shows no mercy. Ships are battered to a pulp. And the soil on the surface is now experiencing a phenomena called subsidence.
Oh,
The rapid changes in compacted conditions result in massive unleveled sediment, which results in massive cracks and landslides.
My God.
The seismic quake creates a sort of ripple effect, and its waves are now moving at a speed of 150 miles per hour, straight into Hawaii, Japan, the Philippines, China, New Zealand, and Australia. Peaceful. Then, the sound of a distant train. Hawaii is hit. The sound of a distant train. Japan is hit.
Oh, my God. One of the worst videos that I've ever seen, like worst, is watching that tsunami roll into Japan. Because I had seen some videos about the Christmas Day tsunami and the was it Christmas or Boxing Day? I can't remember. But nothing compares to seeing the wave come into Japan like it did. I remember this one thing that I was watching. You can see this guy in a van trying to outrun the wave. He is in a van on the road trying to outrun this wall of water coming after him, and I'm just like, dude.
They can only look on. In total, approximately 1,655 were killed,
Oh.
3,000 were injured, and 2 million were left homeless in Chile. In Hawaii, 61 deaths and another 138 lost in Japan. A memorial commemorates the lives lost. The Andes mountain range stretches on as far as the eye can see. Over 5,500 miles of the highest highs and the lowest lows hides one last trick up its sleeve. Southeast of Valdivia, the volcano Cardon Col
Oh, are you
erupts,
kidding me?
emitting a massive column of volcanic gas and ash which burns on for another 59 days. Marking
Wow.
the definite end of the largest earthquake. For now.
Oh my god. I remember the first time I ever saw the booster land. Like, I got emotional. I actually got emotional watching that because I think that we have gotten so wrapped up. I mean, we've been to the moon, we've done all this other kind of stuff. Why haven't we gone further? Why aren't we more along? What are we still doing here? And when I saw that booster land, it actually made me emotional because I was just sitting there like, we're still moving forward. We're still going.
Just imagine what you can do.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So, this guy set up Disrupt here. Set up this event. In my opinion, this is a channel that I'm going to pay attention to very closely because this was actually really impressive in the general tone set, the general way that he established everything. This was absolutely great. This was, even though this is an incident that happened a while back, he set it up perfectly in terms of the tone and the suspense he wanted to create. It did its job. Natural disasters, for me, I have a bizarre fascination with them, just because there's nothing that we can do about them. There's absolutely nothing we can do about a volcano. There's nothing we can do about an earthquake. I was fascinated when I learned about Mount St. Helens when I was young. I watched a lot of videos about it. I watched a lot of, anything I could find, books, things like that. me and my brother are kind of different in that regard. He was more about man-made disasters. He was fascinated with the Titanic. I was more always interested in the natural world and how things worked in that regard. And he and me, he and I, we just didn't mesh on those two things, as far as, an interest goes. But then, like, when he started getting a little bit older, he got this massive fascination with tornadoes, just the same as the way I do now. But earthquakes are just that. It's the one thing. Because storms come and go. Storms come, they go. Volcanoes we expect to eventually erupt. But when the earth underneath your feet stops being real, turns into this actual malleable thing. I mean, I think an earthquake is the most unsettling of any natural disaster, because, it basically changes the Are you snoring? How long have you been doing that? Pug snoring. But it changes the just nature of reality for you. Because for me, I think it just speaks to some kind of like very deep-seated thing within us, because the ground underneath your feet isn't supposed to do what it does in an earthquake. It just isn't. It's supposed to always be there. The one thing you can count on, gravity. And then all of a sudden, gravity is wrong because the earthquake is happening, and you're like, no. Am I making sense? Am I making any kind of sense whatsoever? But he encapsulated a lot in this. The feelings of suspense. I didn't know what happened on a holiday. Thank you for explaining the holiday as far as that goes. There's so much interesting history that even somebody like me who has studied a lot of history just doesn't know. War Pugs, I'm gonna head out. Thank you, Steel Rain, for recommending this to me. All of this links in the description down below. And I'll catch you guys next time. And my pug is still snoring.